crime stats show 2020 was a violent year in Spokane. Homicides nearly tripled compared to the year before. New tonight, what police say could be driving the increase. Plus, investigators make dozens of arrests in connection with the assault on the U.S. Capitol. And Twitter tonight banned the president permanently.
Well, we're looking at a mostly dry weekend ahead of us. The rain returns next week, and I'm tracking just how warm conditions will be through the middle part of the month.
Good evening and thank you for joining us for Kremton News at 11 tonight. I'm Mark Hanrahan. Regina is off. First up tonight, a troubling trend in Spokane. 2020 proved to be a violent year across the city. Homicides nearly tripled compared to 2019. And while the majority of those cases were solved, shootings that didn't lead to a death, those are another story. Kremton News' Morgan Trow breaks down the data and talks to police about what could be driving the increase.
SPD reported nearly 3 times as many deadly shootings in 2020 compared to the year before.
It missed my heart by a millimeter and went down, hit my lower T9 vertebrae and blew it out.
Sergeant Terry Pruniger says the difference between an attempted murder, assault, or even murder can come down to milliseconds or a fraction of an inch. Teenage shooting survivor Stephen LeBlanc can attest to that.
The actions of the individuals that took place could have easily caused a death investigation or a homicide. They simply didn't because of environmental factors and or luck or whatever else took place that prevented somebody from dying.
The city of Spokane saw 20 homicides in 2020, up from 7 in 2019. Luckily, LeBlanc was not one of them.
The volume of shootings involving gang members, there has been an increase there.
Could the pandemic and the impact it's having on our daily lives be a factor in the violence? Pruniger says maybe.
School is often the most stabilizing factor that they have. Teachers are incredibly important in all kids' lives, but they're even more important often in the lives of somebody who may not have a support structure outside of school.
While the crime stats show an uptick in gang violence, it's not all bad. They also show a dip in reported assaults on children. Pruniger says that is not necessarily a good thing.
The number one place we get referrals for people hurting kids is school. And if kids aren't in school, then we don't have those referrals.
That bullet missed my heart by a very small chance. I'm just glad that I got a second chance in life. I'm still living.
LeBlanc's trial was pushed from December 2020 to April 2021. His alleged teenage shooters are missing school for court. Reporting in Spokane, Morgan Trow, Kremton News.
New surveillance images show the moments that supporters of the president breached a gate at the governor's mansion in Olympia on Wednesday. After the gate was broken, about 50 people gained access to the property. The governor was safe during the breach. Today, still no arrests have been made. The Washington State Patrol is asking anyone who can help identify the people in these pictures to please contact them. No more tweets from President Donald Trump. Twitter has permanently suspended the president's Twitter account. The reason for the suspension, according to Twitter, the risk of further incitement of violence. After President Trump released a video statement following Wednesday's violence in which he called for peace but also applauded his supporters, his account was locked for 12 hours. Now he's suspended permanently. In a thread of tweets, the Twitter safety account said, quote, "In the context of horrific events this week, we made it clear on Wednesday that additional violations of Twitter rules would potentially result in this very course of action," unquote. Twitter, not the first social media platform to suspend the president since Wednesday's insurrection at the Capitol. Federal and local authorities are working to identify rioters who stormed the Capitol. So far, at least 82 people have been arrested.
We are fully across the administration pursuing every avenue of justice available.
The FBI released a wanted poster today asking for the public's help in finding dozens of people seen in photographs and video. The Department of Justice announced Friday that Richard Barnett of Arkansas, seen posing behind Speaker Nancy Pelosi's desk, has been arrested and charged with theft and unlawful entry. Also charged, newly installed West Virginia state legislator Derek Evans, who live streamed on Facebook of him storming the building. Evans released a statement saying, quote, he was there as an independent member of the media to film history, unquote. More arrests are expected in the coming days, along with suspects facing various charges, including unlawful entry and possibly homicide, following word that a Capitol police officer has died from his injuries. Today, the very first statewide report on the new reopening plan for Washington's economy was published. That new plan breaks down the state into 9 regions. Spokane County is in the East region. None of the regions made the cut to move on to phase 2. All start on phase 1 on Monday. Eastern Washington did meet 2 of the 4 criteria. Our case rate is declining and we do have ICU capacity, but our test positivity rate is too high and our hospitalizations are increasing when they need to be decreasing in order to move on. We'll have another shot next Friday when the second report is released. Today, Spokane Regional Health is reporting 633 new COVID cases today in our county. This is the 3rd single highest day count we've had. That brings us to 29,205 total cases since the pandemic began. There are 6 new deaths today, bringing the total to 405, and there are 119 hospitalizations in Spokane County. Meantime, in North Idaho, the Panhandle Health District is reporting 222 new coronavirus cases. 1 new death was also reported. Currently, 94 residents of Idaho's 5 northern counties are in the hospital being treated for COVID-19. Let's pause from the headlines for a moment to talk about the weather. We finally made it to the weekend. Meteorologist Thomas Patrick joining us from the Outdoor Weather Center. And Thomas, that warm trend still continue this weekend?
Yeah, well, at least it'll be about 5 degrees above average, but even warmer come next week. But right now, I gotta say, the fog is rolling in fast as of this hour. It is a lot foggier here on our South Hills studios. In fact, you should check out this video I just posted on Instagram. Our studio lights are illuminating the moisture, and you can physically see the wind and the fog moving from west to east right in front of the studio lights. It might be hard to see via our camera, but I got a great picture on Instagram that you should check out. And yes, that fog is getting thicker in a lot of spots. Here are some of the latest observations. Looks like we got about 1/4 of an inch visibility in Pullman and a 1/4 of a mile visibility. Excuse me. If it was 1/4 of an inch, it would be extremely foggy. 1/2 mile visibility out in Spokane's regional airport as well. This is what we got Doppler radar. Not much because it's not really rain, it's not really snow, it's just fog that is thickening, especially between the Palouse and the Spokane area. As for our rain chances, they'll take a pause for this weekend. It'll wait until the upcoming week before that weather system pretty much straightens itself out along with the jet stream. But when that happens, things will be quite warm for the region, but it will also be quite wet. I'll show you how much rain is in the forecast and the time frame for that coming up in a few minutes.
We'll talk to you then, Thomas. Thank you very much. Still ahead tonight on KREM 2 News at 11. Spokane Regional Health District, they say they support bringing more students back into the classroom. The 2 school districts that are bringing students back to class next week and when all the students could return. More when we come back.